Hello and welcome to Tuesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where there's no need to adjust your sets. This puzzle on screen is yesterday's puzzle. Fantastic puzzle, Electric Explosion by Skojo. But I've been asked to open today's puzzle live on camera, which probably means it's going to be dreadfully difficult. But I'm always happy to do this. It's always a bit of a pregnant pause when I see the puzzle for the first time. So I've got the URL, I've pasted it in. Let us look together at what we're going to be doing today. Rubik's Cube. Oh, I like Rubik's Cubes. Rubik's Cube by Michael Lefkowitz. Okay, it's a miracle. Wow. Well, there isn't a lot in that grid at all. I'm just scanning the rules. Let's see what... In fact, the rules are really short. I mean, that's really impressive, because we do get, ever since the first Miracle Sudoku, which was Mitchell Lee's, which had a 1 and a 2 in the grid, and that was all. People have been trying to imitate, if you like, that setup where there was almost no grid furniture in the grid. But the way that that's often achieved is by having a mountain of rules to deal with. There are not a mountain of rules for this puzzle. It's about 4 sentences of rules, so normal Sudoku rules apply. The white dot separates digits with consecutive values. Okay, so if that square in the corner is a 2, this square has to be a 1 or a 3. Cells in the same position. Oh, okay. We've got disjoint subsets today. This is my kryptonite. So cells in the same position in 2 3x3 boxes may not contain the same digit. So e.g. row 1, column 1 and row 4, column 4 cannot contain the same digit, as they are both in the top left-hand corner of their 3x3 boxes. Yes, that makes total sense. So what that's saying is these two cells, imagine they both contain the digit 1. That's not possible in this puzzle, because within their 3x3 box, they're both the top left-hand cells, and therefore the top left cells of each 3x3 box must form a set of the digits 1 to 9. Those digits must all be different. And the reason I find this so difficult is it's hard enough for me to scan rows, columns, and boxes of the Sudoku to make sure that I'm not repeating a digit. If I also have to think about whether, so for this digit here, you'd have to think about that cell, that cell, that cell, and that cell as well. I just find that very difficult to do. But anyway, that's what I have to do today. And right, the last rule is that XYZ means row X, column Y is digit Z. If XYZ is true, won't XYZ always be true? I don't know. If XYZ is true, YZX is also true. What on earth does that mean? Let's just pick a cell. Let's pick that cell. So let's write a digit in there. If we write 5 in there, so that's row 4, column 3 is 5. So if row 4, column 3 is 5, then row 3, column 4 is 5. Row 4, column 5 is 3. Row 4, column 5 is 3. So that's a 3. What? Row 4, column 3 is 5. Then row 4, column... No, hang on, have I done this wrong? I might have done this wrong already. This doesn't bode well, does it? I can't even understand the rule. And it's actually, to be fair to Michael, this is not a complicated rule. It's one sentence of rules. I'm just struggling to think what it means. Row 4, column 3 is a 5. Row 4, so row 3, column 5 is a 4. Row 3, column 5 is a 4. That one is a 4. Right, I'm going to do that again, because I got this one was a 3 last time. If row row 4, column 3 is a 5. Row 4, column 3 is a 5. Then Y is definitely the 3. So row 3, column 5 is a 4. Yeah, so this is, I think this might be correct. But if that's true, isn't this just a cycle? Can't I move these again? Because if this one is now a 4, surely I can just do that again. So row 3, if row 3, column 5 is a 4, so then row 5, column 4 should be a 3. Row 5, column 4 is a 3. And then, is that going to cycle back to this one, is it? So if row 5, column 4 is a 3, then row 4, column 3 is a 5. Yeah, so okay, so they cycle. That is very, very, very peculiar. And seems to have nothing at all to do with the Rubik's Cube at all. Nothing at all at all. It's almost unintelligible. And apparently this year, I mean, that is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous rule set. Not only because I don't really understand it, but also because how can this possibly have a unique solution that's solvable by a human from here, with just knowing those are consecutive digits? Oh, I suppose we've got the disjoint subset thing as well. Oh, you are rotten. You are rotten. I know which tester it was who said I had to open this on screen. They are going to be getting an email after this. Okay, anyway, let me just check my list of things. What else? We might be streaming tomorrow night. I need to confirm that with Mark. So I don't even know what we're going to be streaming. Probably more hex cells. So check it out. If it happens, it'll be 10 PM UK time tomorrow. What else? We are closing in, aren't we? Gosh, oh no, it's a leap year. Well, we're nearly closing in on the 1st of March, and on the 1st of March there's going to be a brand new Sudoku hunt coming for our patrons over on Patreon. I am going to make that Patreon crossword video as well, and on Patreon soon we're going to be releasing my region geometry 3.5 hour solve. So there's a lot going on Patreon. It's a couple of bucks a month to join us over there. Other than that, what else? I've got 2 announcements today in terms of birthdays. Well, one's a birthday, one is just to wish Lucy the best. I'll start off with David. David, you have turned 77 today. I think it's today, it might have been yesterday, that the email from your daughter Amy over there in New Zealand arrived at a time where I can't really be sure which day your birthday is. But anyway, I hope whenever it is, you have an absolutely brilliant birthday. You have a very talented daughter, in my opinion. Because Amy, I think you were the one who recommended that poem to us, weren't you? And Amy has written a poem called Today in 35 syllables, which I really liked. So I thought I'd read it to you. How loudly the clock cuts time, moments catch in rattling flax, a distant grey sea wakes wild, seconds chase the falling gulls, sly winds have snatched my wishing. It's really good. I think you're very, very talented, Amy. I have to say. I can't remember if you wrote the last one you recommended or it was just your favourite poem. But anyway, Amy, thank you for sending it. I thought it was really good. And David, happy birthday. I'm not sure you're allowed chocolate cake, are you? I think you're on a diet, and Amy's mother has something to say about it. Well, you might be able to sneak some chocolate cake. Never know. But the other bit of news is Lucy. Lucy is having an operation today. This is absolutely extraordinary. Lucy is having part of her liver removed to make an altruistic liver donation to somebody she doesn't know. It's just somebody who needs a new liver, and Lucy is just doing this because, as she wrote, purely because it is the right thing to do. What an extraordinary person, Lucy. I hope the operation goes well. I know you were hoping for a couple of long cracking the cryptic videos to help you through the recovery. I hope that we'll be able to provide those at some point, and I wish you all the best with it, and I take my hat off to you. Amazing. There are some amazing people. And with that said and done, let us turn our attention back to Rubik's Cube and see what is Michael Lefkowitz. Is that the same constructor who's juggler? Is that the pseudonym of Michael Lefkowitz? That is what my brain is telling me. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I apologise to Juggler and Michael Lefkowitz if my brain is misleading me. It has been known for my brain to mislead me. But anyway, I've done the rules. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. It must have taken the tester an awful long time to put this grid into the software. Just had to put one dot in the corner. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I'm going to go back to my rule. What was this? I made that a 5, didn't I? And that made... right, row 4, column 3 is a 5. So row... Right. Row 4, column 3 is a 5. So row 3, column 5 is a 4. And row 5, column 4 is a 3. So the only thing I'm seeing there, and I will say this just for the sake of having something to say, is that the row and column of the first number you think of, so if you think of this number, the row and column are 4 and 3. And so something about this one puts 4s and 3s in the grid, doesn't it? So if you just got given this one, you would know that this one puts 3s and 5s somewhere in the grid. If you just got given this one, you'd know that put 5s and 4s somewhere in the grid. So what happens then if you change... So if you change this number, you don't change the... How does that work? So if you make that 6 rather than 5, that's still in the same row and column. So that should still result in 4s and 3s being in the grid. But although the 4s and 3s, are going to move, because this is now not... they're going to move. Yeah, they probably move to that one and that one, actually. Let's think about that. So if row 4, column 3 was a 6... 4, column 3 was a 6, then row 3, column 6 is a 4. So it would be that one. And that's going to mean, and if row 3, column 6 is a 4, then row 6, column 4 is a 3. So that's that one. So if that was 7, that would be 4, and that would be 3. So this one, so this digit is always putting a 4 into one of those cells. But hang on, what would happen if that was a 4? Does it still work the same way? If that is a 4. So if row 4, column 3 was a 4, then row 3, column 4 is a 4. Row 3, column 4. Oh yeah, no, it's fine. I was wondering if they were going to clash or something. Right. So if that's a 3, then that would be a 4. If that's a 2, that would be a 4. Right, okay. How does this help us solve the puzzle at all? Sorry, I realise I'm not saying anything, and that's not helpful, is it? A video consisting of me just staring, sort of doing that, is probably not going to be the most entertaining thing anyone's ever watched in their life. I don't really know what that's doing. I might actually... How does that cell work? Because that cell is row 4, column 4, which has got... So is that putting 2 4s in the grid? Because that one was row 3, column 4, and that the coordinates put 4s and 3s in the grid. So does that put 2 4s in the grid? Let's make this 6. If that's a 6, row 4, column 4 is a 6. So row 4, column 6 is a 4. Row 4, column 6 is a 4. Oh, I see. So that actually doesn't work. That's weird. Because that's going to put a 4 there as well. I think if you put a 4 there, row 4, column 6 is a 4. So row 6, column 4 is a 4. And you get 2 4s in box 5. So this digit so if that was a 5, then we put 4s in those two, wouldn't we? And that also doesn't work. And if that was, what happens if it's a 4? Then all the 4s are going to congregate all in this square. Okay, that's all. That's that's weird. That's actually fine, isn't it? So if you put a 4 there, and I guess if you put a 5 there, the XYZ thing is 4 4 4. And it keeps cycling round. It doesn't matter what order the X, Y's and Z's are then. It always puts row 4, column 4 equals 4. Right. But we did learn that this couldn't be 5 or 6. Because if it was 5 or 6, you end up with 2 4s in box 5. But if it was 3, then you're going to end up with 4 in those 2 squares. So that would put pressure on box 1. So maybe that's the point, is it? Then we could... So if this is a low number, 4 in box 1 is restricted. Yeah, okay, or another way of thinking about that is to think about that digit. Because that digit is either it can't be very low by the logic we've just discovered from out this square. If this square was a 2, isn't that going to require me to put 3s into those 2 squares? That might be wrong. That might be wrong. Let's just think about that. So if row 3, column 3 was a 2, 3 columns, so then row 3, column 2 is equal to 3. Row 3, column... Yeah, so that's right. That is right. So, and if this was 1, that would put the 3s in those positions, which also can't work. We'd have 2 3s in this box. So either this square is a 3, or I was about to say or again. I'm not going to say or again. Or I am. I did say it. I didn't mean to. I was about to say it again. But what I was going to say, I can't say it without saying or. I have to say or. It's like nori nori in reverse. Or the 3s are going to pinch the 3 in box 1 and put it in the corner up here. Why do I say that? Well, let's make this square 4. We know that this coordinate for this cell is row 3, column 3. So it's putting 2 3s in the grid. And because this is 4, it's putting them in those 2 squares. So that means that the 3 in this box by Sudoku is going to get sort of lumped into... Either this is a 3 or the 3 goes up here. But it probably can't go on the diagonal, can it? Or is that wrong? If that's 3, aren't I going to get the same problem with 2s? That's what I feel is going to happen. That might not be right. If row 2, column 2 was equal to 3, then surely row 2, column 3 is equal to 2. Row 2, column... Yeah. Yes, that's it. That is right. That is interesting. Right. So if what I'm now saying is it doesn't matter if this digit here is not 3. It can't be 1 or 2, and any other value plonks a 3 along here and plonks a 3 along here, and focuses the 3s in box 1 into these squares. But we can do better than that, because that cannot be a 3. Because if that's a 3, we have the same problem with this being a low number. If that's a 3, then the 2's get put into the 3rd position in both of these, like that. And that's 2 2's in the box. And if that's a 3, then the 1's are going to get put into those positions. I'm saying that, but I just want, I'm sure that isn't a 3, but if that's a 3, I think the 1's go here, but I'm not certain. Row 1 column 1 equals 3, row 1 column 3 equals 1. That's right, that is right. And then row 3 column 1 equals 1. Yes, okay, so that's right. So the 3's in box 1 do have a fairly limited range of motion. So it might be about the low digits in this box, how you get started. Oh, my phone is buzzing. That's fine. Let's think about that. So is there a similar restriction on 2's and 1's? Problem is that can be a 2 just as this can be a 3, but if that's not a 2, then 2's are going to get thrown into these positions, and 2's are not going to appear in the cross. Can you put 2 in the corner? No. Right. Yeah, this does work. So what I'm now seeing is that this digit is either 2, or it's a number that is going to index a 2 into this column and this row. And whatever digit this is throwing, so imagine that's a 5, then the 2's go in those two positions, the fifth position in both this way and this way. But you can see that if this is a 5, the 2's will always eliminate the possibility of putting 2 in this sort of cross shape in box 1. If that was a 6, you're going to have 2's there. It's going to have exactly the same effect. So what that means is that either this is a 2, or the cross is eliminated, and you'd have to put 2 in one of those 4 squares, but this diagonal, apart from this cell here, this square can't be a 2, because that's going to post 1's into those two positions, so that's out. That can't be a 2, because that's going to post 3's into those two positions, so that's out. So 2's in box 1 are on the diagonal. And right, are we going to guess the shape of the 1's then? What are the 1's going to do? The 1's are going to be, I am guessing, that pattern. That could be absolute bobbins and nonsense, but that's what I would guess. So let's think about the 1. So either this is a 1, boom, or it's a number that is going to post 1's into this column and this row, a number of digits according to the value of this. So this can never be 2 or 3 for the reasons that we've already talked about, but it could post them there or there. That's going to eliminate 1's from all of these squares. So 1 would be in one of those 4 squares, but again, yeah, it can't be on the diagonal. We've already thought about this. So there's no way you can put 1's into those. And again, let's just double check it just to make sure that we agree. If that's a 1, we're saying the 2's have to be in those two. That's total nonsense. Right, okay, so we get this pattern of low digits in box 1. So it's going to be, look, this is what's going to happen. This is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But that's really terrible, actually, because that means we're not going to get anything from any of our... no, it can't do that. Oh no, this is much better. Sorry, this can't be a 1 in the corner, because if that's a 1 in the corner, the white dot would tell us that this is a 2, and we know that cannot be a 2. I can't remember why we know that, but it can't be. My 2's are in these positions. Why is... Yeah, that's right. That's right, because remember the 2's were eliminating the cross, weren't they? To the extent that this square is not a 2, the 2's eliminate the cross. So this can't be a 1, because if it was a 1, this would be a 2, and the 2 would be in a legal position. So that's actually... So the 1, we've got down to 2 positions. But... does that actually matter? Actually, that's a thought. I just had another thought. If I put the 1 back there, is this the Rubik's Cube thing? If I was to shade these in, that could look like a Rubik's Cube. I mean, not a very recognisable Rubik's Cube, but it seems to be doing something, doesn't it? Something Rubik's Cubey. That's not 1. Okay, so if that's 3, that has to be 4, doesn't it? Because I was just thinking about the 2's. If that's 3, then because we know these 2 digits are consecutive, but I can't put the 2 there, and I can't put the 2 there because that would put 1's into those 2 positions, which is clearly not possible once this is a 3. So that would be a 4. Right. Wow. Okay, that's broken. That doesn't work. Because if that's a 4, those 2 squares have to both be 1's, and they are disjointed, aren't they? They are both in the top left-hand corner. It's the same as the example we did, in the sense that those are the top left-hand corner. They can't contain the same digit. Right, so this corner digit can never be, it could never ever have been, it can't put digits there or there. Well, it can't be 4 or 7, because if it's 4, it puts 1's there. If it's 7, it puts 1's there. And both of those things don't work. So this digit is not a 3. So 3... So does that mean that has to be 2? Or is that, or does it mean it can't be 2? Oh, hang on. If I get rid of 3 from here... Ah... Yes. Getting rid of 3 from here is going to do something. It's going to remove some of these other pencil marks, I think, because the coordinates for that cell are 1, 2, 3. So as the cycle goes round, we're going to get, we're going to have permutations of 1, 2, 3 working through the XYZ thing, and they're all going to be in this box, aren't they? So a 3 here must put 1's and 2's into this box somewhere. So whatever, we have to work out what this corresponds to, because if that can't be 3, there's going to be one of these 2's that gets taken out, and hopefully one of the 1's will get taken out. And if it's one of these ones rather than that one, I bet it isn't this one that gets taken out. Then we're going to get a digit. Right, let me work this out. So let's get this right. Row 1, column 2 is equal to 3. So row 2, column 3 is equal to 1. That's that one. That is that one. So I think if this is 1, that is going to tell us this is a 3, which we've proved cannot be true. Let's think about that. So if that's a 1, that's row 2, column 3 is equal to 1. So row 3, column 1 is equal to 2. So it's that one. And then if row 3, column 1 is equal to 2, row 1, column 2 is equal to 3, which is that one. So this is out. This doesn't work. We take out that one and that one. They are impossible. That's telling us this is the only position for 1 now in box 1. And that's going to tell us something about 2's and 3's in this box. So row 3, column 2, row 3, column 2 is equal to 1. So row 2, column 1 is equal to 3. Row 2, column 1 is equal to 3. That's that one. And then row row 2 column 1 is equal to 3. So row 1 column 3 is equal to 2, which is that one. Row column 3 is equal to 2. So we get that. So we get those digits in the puzzle, which is fabulous. Now, I was going to say we can think about the white dot a bit more earnestly, in the sense that a consecutive pair of digits must always include an odd number. But the problem is that actually this is not under very much pressure, is it? 1 and 3 have gone, so this has got 5, 7, or 9 on it. And if it's but we worked out the corner couldn't be a 7, didn't we? But that could probably be a 7. Ooh. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what to do, actually. I actually am quite pleased I've got anything in this grid, but I'm not entirely sure. They form like their own perfect cycle, and it's almost like it sits outside the rest of the puzzle. I don't really know what to do. If I put 9 on the dot, it has to go with 8. Is that broken for some reason? Because 9 obviously can only be consecutive with 8. 10 is not a Sudoku digit, not even in a Michael Lefkowitz puzzle. Oh, I've just remembered. I've remembered Michael Lefkowitz, isn't it? I think it's Michael Lefkowitz. I might be wrong. So that's going off in the back of my brain as well now. If you put 9 or 8 in one of these, I can see what this one does. That one posts 1s into these cells, doesn't it? So if one of these is 9, you end up with 1s in those cells. What I don't know is what that one does. If row 1 column 2 is equal to 8 or 9, let's say, which way should we go? Let's say if we delete those two, we're saying that's 8. So let's say this one was 9. Row 1 column 2 is equal to 9, so row 2 column 9 is equal to 1. That's just, hang on, what's gone wrong there? I think I did that wrong. Sorry. I don't understand that at all. Row 1 column 2 is equal to 9. That is what we're saying, isn't it? Yeah, row 1 column 2 is equal to 9. Row 1 column 2 is equal to 9. So row 2 column 9 is equal to 1. Row 2 column 9 is equal to 1. Why? So how does it work the other way? Does it? Oh, right. Right, so if that's 9 instead, does that mean making this 8 is going to put a 1 there? And so there would now be a 1 here and a 1 here. And so if this was row 1 column 2 is equal to 8, yeah, so it's posting. Oh, this is confusing. It's yes, okay. So this cell is always posting a 1 in this row, isn't it? That is its nature. That is what this cell in particular does. It posts a 1 into this row, and this cell posts a 1 into this row. But it's not, it's very complicated. It's not symmetrical, because that cell doesn't post a 1 into this column, because that 1's already there, and it's definitely not in the 8th of anything. So in this column, How does that work? What's it doing? So row 1 column 2 is 8. So row column 2 is 8. So row 2 column 8 is 1. And row 8 column 1 is 2. Row 8 column 1 is 2. Why? Okay, so it's posting its column number into its it's posting its column number. So it's in column 2, so it posts a 2, but it posts a 2 into the row becomes the column number. Oh, this is mad. I don't understand this really. So you take the digit here, and that digit posts the column number it represents, which is 2, into the row number it's in as a column, which is 1. So it posts a 2 in this column, but then from a row perspective, it's posting its row number, which is 1, into its column number, which is 2. Right, so it's sort of, it inverts that logic. This is very confusing. But the point is that the point is that 9 and 8 don't work as a pair, so we can take 9 out of here, because you either end up with 1s there, or you end up with 1s like that, because that's the nature of what's going on. So we can get rid of 9 as a possibility here. So this is either a 5 with something or a 7 with something. Ah, I see. Yeah, it's not 5 with something, because that's going to suffer the same fate that 9 did. What do I mean? Well, 5 in one of these two squares is this. If 5 is in either of these squares, this digit is 4, 5, or 6, and that means that. And remember, this posts a 1 into this row, so it's saying that there's a 1 in one of these 3 squares, definitely. But now, this square, which we know posts a 1 into this row, well, that can't be. We can't post it into rows 4, 5, or 6, can we? Or columns, sorry, column 4, 5, or 6, because that's going to put 1s in the same box. So this can't be. Oh yeah, no, I see how it works. Right, so this can't have 5 in it, because 5 is too middly. It's too middly. The digits on either side of 5 are 4 and 6, and that creates a matrix of where the 1s could go, which would be this. And we get 2 1s. One row hit, 1 1 here and 1 1 here. But if this had 7 in it, it's different, isn't it? Because 7 in one of these squares is saying the matrix of 1s is like that, and that would work providing we don't use 8. If we don't use 8 as the counterpart of 7, we use 6. Oh, this is sick. I know what this is doing. Because 6 and 7 is fine. These ones are in different boxes of the Sudoku, so something like this is going to work. But we've already thought about this. That cannot be 7, because if that's 7, you get a 7 down there and a 7 there, and that breaks the disjoint. So this is wrong. And that means I've got another digit, which is 6 in the corner. I feel like singing about that, because that is so ludicrously impossible to understand. And now I get more digits. The 6 posts 1s into these squares. The 7 posts 1 into this square, and the 7, well, the 7 is going to do something as well in this column, isn't it? With 2, because its row and column number are 1 and 2, we get a 1 in row 2, and we're going to get a 2 in column 1. Probably in the 7th, probably there. Let's think about that. Row 1, column 2 is a 7. So row 2, column 7 is a 1. 2, column 7 is a 1. And row 7, column 1 is a 2. 7, column 1 is a 2. Yes. So that works. And, ooh, you see, do you think a good idea might be to almost label these up once we've done them? Because that 7 is responsible for those digits, and then these 3 were sort of a mutual pair or mutual triple, weren't they? Just to make sure that we keep track of, so if providing we have 3 of every colour, we have used the digits that we've been afforded to the maximum extent that we can. 1 is now in one of these squares by Sudoku. 2 is in one of these squares by Sudoku. See, well, the problem here is, what on earth does this do next? So I've realised I've stopped talking again. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand what this means. Do you always run into the problem? Those 2 digits. I'm just not clever enough to. I'm not clever enough to work out. They. So. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. Maybe I pencil mark these squares, do I? 4, 5, 8, 9. And what do we know? We know that one is positioning 2. Oh, yeah, that one. Yes, okay, I can do something there. Because this digit, I think, is responsible, because this is in row 2, column 2. So it is posting 2s down this column and in this row. And by Sudoku, I seem to have got the 2 now in one of those 3 squares, which would correspond to the 4th and 5th positions, not the 8th and 9th positions. So the 2 is actually not there, believe it or not. Let's see why that fails. Let's just see. Let's put 2 in there and see, because I think that what I've said there is logical, but I don't really understand it. So row 6, column 2. If row 6, column 2 is equal to 2, then row 2, column 2 is equal to 6. Yeah, it doesn't work. You get the 2 6s. Yeah, so that's fine. That actually did make sense when I went through it. So that's 4 or 5, and that's posting a 2 into the 4th and 5th position here, which means there's a 2 in one of those positions. And then this one is going to do the same job for 3, isn't it? Now, but is that one? I'm just wondering if there's a relationship like there was with these 2. For these 2, can they, if they're consecutive, am I going to end up plonking 2s? Is it 2s? Feels like it will be 2s into the same. If that's 4 or 5, is that telling me that there's a 2 in one of those at the same time as it's meant to be a 2 in one of those? That's what I feel it's doing, but I'm so unsure. I'm just going to think about that. So if this is 4, let's say this is 4, then that is in row 2, column 3. So row 2, column 3 is equal to 4. Row 2, column 3 is equal to 4. So row 3, column 4 is equal, row 3, column 4 is equal to 2. Yeah, it does. It does. So it does work the same way. So once you know this is 4 or 5, this has to be sufficiently different that it doesn't plonk a 2 into the same box of the Sudoku. So that has to be 8 or 9, which means that can't be a 2. The 2 is right over here. Now, that also, but that's not going to do, that doesn't do 2's in the columns, does it? Because it's in column 3, so it does 3 in column 2, just as this digit did 2 in column 1. So this digit is saying there is a 3 in one of those squares, which means there's a 3 in one of these squares. And that's going to have an implication for this digit, which is that is indexing 3's in both directions. And now there's a 3 in one of these, so the 3 has to be in position 4 or position 5. Which means there's a 3 pencil mark in one of these positions, which means there's a 3 pencil mark in one of these positions. And now this square becomes an 8 or a 9. Oh, and that's doing something. Row 3, column 1 is 8 or 9. Row 3, column 1 is 8 or 9. So row 3, column 1, let's say row 3, column 1 is 8. Column 1 is 8, so row 1, column 8 would be 3. Row 1, column 8 would be 3. Oh, okay, so this is doing 3's, so that's not 3 then. So 3 is moving right over to here. And then the next implication would be, if row 1, column 8 was equal to 3, then row 8, column 3 would be equal to 1. Row 8, column 3 would be equal to 1. Okay, so it's also doing these two down here. So everything sort of is symmetrical. It's just very hard to understand. And how does this help us? What is ruled out of anything by this situation? Ah, I've got it. Oh, this is so beautiful. Good grief. Right, that's not 5. Because if that's 5, what's happening to 2's? They're both in the same disjoint position. So it goes back to the disjoint subsets. They are in the middle cell of their boxes. So they can't be the same digit. Oh, this is so clever. Good grief. I mean, it is very hard to understand for me, but it is sort of wonderful as well. So that's 5 now, which is doing the 3's. So these become 3's, and they aren't in the same position because of the way that the symmetry unwinds. So those 4's, that was a set, wasn't it? This is a set. Let's use yellow. Now, so has that helped us to learn about what's going on with the 8's and the 9's? It looks like we've got modular. That's weird, isn't it? You've got modularity. It looks like it's trying to be. We've got 1, 4, 7 there. It's a sort of remainder of 1 when divided by. These are the numbers that have a remainder of 1 when divided by 3. This looks like it wants to be 3, 6, 9. That looks like it wants to be 2, 5, 8. So if that's true, that would suggest that's not 8 for some reason. Why wouldn't that be able to be 8? Row 3, column 1 is 8, so row 1, column 8 is 3. Row 1, column 8 is 3. What's wrong with that? Nothing. And if row 1, column 8 was 3, row 8, column 3 would be 1. I'm staring at that, trying to see what on earth the problem is with it. I don't think there's a problem with it. Is there? Thing is, it would be very easy to miss. You know, if this is causing a problem, say, with disjointedness, I might miss it, and then that would be very bad. So what on earth is the deal then? Gosh, I don't know. I don't know. One in box 5 is a bit restricted. One in box 6 is a bit restricted. Can we put ones on the diagonals? Ones on the diagonals. So row 4. If this was, that's putting 4s into these positions, isn't it? If that's a 1, you get 4s there. Now that doesn't work because that's the same disjoint position, so that's not 1. There's a tiny deduction. I mean, I'm happy with tiny deductions. It doesn't work for that one though, because if that's a 1, then you get the 5s in these positions, but those don't equate in the disjoint. That's in position 4, that's in position 2 within their box, so there is no clash. So that can be 1, even though that couldn't be. How weird is that? Answer: quite weird. So that's also a bit disconcerting, because that implies there could be differences between these digits. If this is a 1, what's that saying? Row 4 column 5 is 1, so row 5 column 1 is 4. Row 5 column 1 is 4. And row 1 column 4 is 5. Row 1 column 4 is 5. Hang on, I can't picture this at all. So if that's 1, row 4 column 5 is 1, row 5 column 1 is 4, and row 5 column 1 is 4, so row 1 column 4 is 5. I don't know, that doesn't seem to be problematic at all, does it? Well, the 1s, 2s and 3s are always in. Yeah, that's just a feature of Sudoku, Simon. Well, no, it's a feature of this Sudoku. If that's a 1, row 5 column 4 would be 1, row 5 column 4 would be 1, so row 4 column 1 would equal 5. And row 1 column 5 would equal 4. Oh, actually, hang on, I've just noticed something far simpler. That can't be 1 because that's in the same disjoint set as that. There we go. That was easier. Alright, so there's a 1 down here now. That might be important. No, I can do a bit better than that. That's in the bottom right hand corner of a box, so that's not a 1. Good grief. Okay, alright, well that's something. That's definitely something. So can we keep that going somehow? 2 maybe in the middle box. Can we say something about that? No. No, we can't. Oh, how weird. That's very strange. Are there problems with 2s on the diagonal? If that's a 2, what are we saying? We're saying that does That puts, yeah, that doesn't work. That does the 5 thing again, doesn't it? That puts the 5s in those 2 positions, so that doesn't work. Oh, I bet you that does the same thing with 3 here. If that's a 3, we put the 6s in both the same positions. That's weird. So the 3 is in one of those 3 positions. So it's all about 1s, 2s and 3s, this puzzle. It's so weird. Now I bet you there's some symmetrical way we can eliminate one of the 2s or one of the 3s, so we get down to just 2 pencil marks. No, it's not going to be 2 there. Is there a 2? Oh, I don't know actually. Yeah, got it. 3 can't be there. So that's a 3 by disjoint, or by disjoint. That's the best way of describing it. So that is a new digit that we have not found friends for yet. So what's that? Row 8 column 2 is a 3. So row 2 column 3 is an 8. Row 2. Oh, it's that one. Okay. So that's an 8. So that's a 9. So we need to do this one as well. Let's give that its own colour. So if row 2 column 3 is equal to 8, row 3 column 8 is equal to 2. Row 3 column 8 is equal to 2. So that's a 2. That's red. So that's not 2. Now that's not 2 by the disjoint. So we do get a double pencil mark here. We get a double pencil mark down there. And I bet we can do better with 3s now somehow, once we use this one probably. So row 3 column 1 is 9. So row 1 column 9 is 3, which is lovely. Oh, that is very lovely. That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. That's blue. And if row 1 column 9 is 3, row 9 column 3 is 1. Row 9 column 3 is that one. So that becomes a 1. That becomes blue. Now, and that 3 did frank this cell in the middle box. So 3s are in one of these spells, which means 3s are in one of these squares. So 2 maybe in box 9 is in one of a few places, not there. 2 is now down to what, just 3 positions in box 9. And can we get rid of any more by disjoint rules? Nah, I'm not sure. What about 1 down here? So 1 is in 4 positions, but that's come out by disjoint. It's so symmetrical. I bet you that we're just left with 3 pencil mark 1s. What about 3s? So 3 in theory is in all of these positions. I think I might have just deleted a pencil mark 2 when I did that, so I'm going back there. 3 is in one of those positions, and 3 can't be in the bottom middle position, look. And if that's 3, that's on the diagonal, which this diagonal is the most powerful thing. So that would be putting 7 into that position and that position. They're not in the same position, so that's fine. Right. Goodness me. So what do we need to do now? Where on earth do we look? I haven't got a clue. I still don't think I've really understood this puzzle, actually. Chorus from the audience saying, "No, you haven't." Maybe I'll make all of these the same colour now. I'm just thinking, because I was looking at this 3 and I don't like the fact it's a different colour to this 3. It's affecting my scanning, such as it is. So I think I will get rid of all the colours. And then can I highlight all? No, maybe I can't highlight all the digits, but I'll highlight those digits and make them all blue. Right, there we go. Now, blue's a bad colour. Let's do orange. So those are all dealt with. So, okay. how do we make progress from here? That can't be a 1 by this one. So okay, we're going to be able to do something similar again with 2's here, aren't we? So 2's, we could get rid of that one. 3's, let me guess, we're going to get rid of that one again. I don't really want to just trawl through all these options trying to work out why they don't work. But what else is left for us to do here? It's got to be something to do with... oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there are lots of things here that look weird to me. These patterns, 369, 741, 285, they're modular. I don't know why that should be the case. I tell you what, another thing that's odd as well. Look at the rows. Look at those squares. They are in the same position within their box, and they're 3 low numbers. Do the same in row 2. The same position in the box is 3 low numbers. Do the same in row 3. The same position in the box is 3 low numbers. So if that was repeated, that square and that square would be medium numbers. This square, and this square would be high numbers. Why on earth is that the case? You see, that could be the case because of that weird thing we found here with the consecutive digits and the ones having to be in different rows. And then it works differently in the columns. Because they definitely haven't got that going on in the columns. So if that, let's just pencil mark this row for a moment. If we say that's 5, 6, 7 and 9. Now, so if I'm right, there would be some reason this can't be 5 or 6. I mean, that seems perverse. Let's just put 5 in there, just to try and understand if there is some problem with that. If that's 5, then row 2 column 6 is equal to 5. So row 6 column 5 is equal to 2. Row 6 column 5. That's, whoa, what has happened there? It doesn't work. Doesn't work because of the pencil marks we've already put in. So actually there is something underlying the sort of geometry of this. So yeah, so the digit in this square, this is it clearly in row 2, so it's indexing a 2 somewhere in the grid, and it happens to be indexing a 2 into row 6, which is its column number. And because of what our stuff we've worked out, that cannot be a 5. And then we're also like, ah, well, look, no, okay, but why couldn't it be a 6? If row 2 column 6 is equal to, row 2 column 6 is equal to 6, then row 6 column 6 is equal to 2, and that's fine. But that digit and that digit, that's not pushing this up to what I was expecting, which is that that was a 7, 8, 9 triple. So all I did really was to get rid of one digit from this square. But by the same token, can I not apply that logic here? If row 2 it's going to be the same for this row, isn't it? That can't be 5 because that's going to post a 2 into this square. Row 2 column 5. If row 2 column 5 equal, yeah, that's just not right. So this is 6, 7 or 9. So now we have worked out somehow there is a 5 over here. Definitely in 5 in one of those two positions. So if row 2 column 8 equals 5, then row 8 column 5 equals 2. Yeah, and if that's 5, row 9 column 5 equals 2. So that makes some sort of sense. Oh, this is very tricky. It's very difficult to understand this. Yeah, so these two are the equivalent of those two. And possibly... Ah, well, hang on. Hang on, because that one can't be a 2 for some reason. Was that to do with disjointedness? Yeah. So we might be able to clean up one more pencil mark here. I'll work out which one it is. It must be this one, because that's in column 5, and that's the equivalent in row 5. So I don't think that can be a 7. Prove me wrong. So if that's a 7, we're saying row 2 column 5 equals 7, so row 5 column 7 equals 2, which it can't because of the disjoint there. Boom. Right, so that square is 6 or 9. See, what's that doing? Why was that a problem? That was a problem because this was a 2. I don't know. There is something going on under the bonnet of this puzzle that is absolutely baffling. How long have I had? An hour? Oh goodness, I've meant to go out. I'm meant to go out in about 9 minutes as well. Ah, I'm never going to finish this in 9 minutes. Oh dear, dear, dear. Okay, I've got to make rapid progress. How can we make rapid progress? That is very difficult to answer. That is really very difficult to answer. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've got to think more about the column logic then. I don't know how I can take that. Let's try this column. 5, 6, 8, 9. Let's put those in. 5, 6, 8, 9. Now, can we do anything with that? We probably almost certainly can. We've just got to figure out how. So let's look at this digit. What's that doing? So that's row 5, column 2. Well, if that was 5, column 2 equals 5, then row... Isn't that saying row 5, column 5 has to equal 2? Which it can't. So that's definitely not 5, I don't think. I think that's the same thing that we were looking up there. It's just in a different way round. Just let me check that. So if row 5, column 2 is equal to 5. Row 5, column 2 equals 5. Row 2, column 5 is equal to 5. Which it can't be. Yeah, that's definitely not 5. So there's some relationship between these as well. Yeah, okay. So if I'm right about the modular sequences, I bet you we can get rid of 6 and 9 in here as well. Let's see if that's right. So if that's 6, if row 5, column 2 is equal to 6, row 2, column 6 is equal to 5. Yeah, which it can't be. So that's definitely not 6. Now, can we get rid of 9 and hit the jackpot? If this is 9, row 5, column 2 is 9. Row 2, column 9 is 5. Row 2, that is possible. Bother. Row 2, column 9 is 5. So that would be 5. And row 9, column 5 would equal 2, which would be that one. No, that's not possible. I found something. I found something much easier. Look, it's just disjoint down here. The 2. Oh, this is really exciting because that is a real digit. So that's... Right, what is that doing? So that... why did this one work? Why? Oh, the 1. Look, it's all done. It's just disjoint. I just didn't see it. The 3. This is 3. This could get me out of trouble in terms of being able to leave the house in a few minutes. 1, 2, 3. So what's that doing? Well, we have to perform our magic on these, don't we? So let's try this one. So row 7, column 4 is a 1. So row 4, column 1 is a 7. Row 4, column 1. That's a new digit altogether. And if row 4, column 1 was a 7, then row 1, column 7 is a 4. Row 1, column 7 is a 4. Wow. Okay. So now these digits all become that shade. Let's just check whether there's any Sudoku. Yeah, look at that as well. That accords with what I was expecting regarding modularity, just from the patterns that seem to be emerging. So the 2 here. So row 8, column 5 is a 2. So row 5, column 2 is an 8. Ah, ha, 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 there's that one. Look, this is exactly what I was trying to prove. And if row 5, column 2 is equal to 8, row 2, column 8 is equal to 5. Row 2, column 8 is equal to 5. So that becomes the 5. So that gets oranged. That becomes oranged. And this 3, what do we think? Is that going to do? Let's guess that digit. Maybe that digit could be total and utter nonsense. Row 9, column 6 is 3. So row 6, column 3 is 9. It is that. No, it's not that one. It's that one. Ah, right. It is that one. Yeah, okay. So that gets orange now. And if row 6, column 3 is 9, row 3, column 9 is 6. Row 3, column 9 is 6. Okay, so that gets rid of the 6 from this one. So that becomes orange. This becomes orange. Now that might be really beautiful if we can just work out how to use it to our advantage. So I was going to just try and double click the 1s. I just want to reconfirm. Oh, those are all in different disjoint positions. Bother. So that we're not going to be able to do the disjoint trick, at least not on the 1s. What about the 2s? Are they all in? They're all in the same subset of the disjoint, so it's not going to work, I don't think. Oh, 3. So top left is always there, top middle is there twice, bottom left is there twice. Yeah, that's annoying, isn't it? So that's not how we finish the puzzle from here. 6 is in one of those squares now, in this row. Does that tell us anything? So row 2, column 5, or row 2, column 6 is equal to 6. Row 2, column 5 is 6. Row 5, column 6 is 2. Row 5, column 6 is 2. So that's the equivalent of this, isn't it? These two. Those two have an equivalence, which is those two. This is absolutely baffling. Right. This square is interesting. Look, that's come right down. 5 or 6. What have we not? So 4, 4 or 6 here. 4 or 5 here. 4, 5, 8 here. 4 or 6 or 7 here. Same is true over here. Look, we can do a little bit of nearly. Everything is nearly done, but not quite done enough. What's going on? There's definitely a 7 down here. Can't see it. So how do we do this then? Answers on a postcard, please. I don't know. We got a way of resolving this? See, I find it very hard. You know, if I look at a square like that, I can't just see in the grid where that relates to. I have to think it through every time in my head. So row 2, column 9 If row 2, column 9 was a 7, row 2, column 9 was a 7, row 9, column 7 would equal 2. That's that one. So that one has a relationship with that one. Oh, but only if that's a 7. Oh, because that's putting it there, isn't it? So yeah, this is pointing at this square or this square. And then these two squares, row 9, column 7 equals 2. Row 7, column 2 is equal to 9. Which is there. Or or we're posting a 9 here, so the 9 is definitely in one of those squares. Yeah, okay, that's fine though. We can do that by disjoint. Cool. Wow. Okay, so if this is 7, we worked out that plonked a 9 here. But by Sudoku, if that's a 7, that's an 8, and that's a 9, and those 9s are in the same place. This 9 here and this 9 here. That doesn't work. So this is a 9, which is great. So that's an 8. That's a 7. This is a 6. Ooh, and this is a 7. I've got loads of digits for that, and all of these need to be paired up with things. So let's try and do that. So the 9, row 2, column 9 is equal. So that puts 2 here. Row 9, column 9 is equal to 2. So row 9, column 2 is equal to 9. Row 9, column 2 is equal to 9. So that becomes 9. And these squares get oranged. Okay, let's try the 8. So row 1, column 8 is equal to 8. So row 8, column 8 is equal to 1, which is that cell. That's huge. Look at that bad boy. That has done this digit, which has plonked a 2 into one of these, which gives me a 2 here. Oh, come on now. This could be absolutely beautiful. So anyway, hang on. That gave me that. Row 8, column 8 is equal to 1. So row 8, column 1 is equal to 8. Yeah, that makes that. These ones on the diagonal are about the only thing I really feel comfortable with in this puzzle. So therefore, we get a 4 or a 5 in the corner here. This one, and this one are all oranged. We haven't done this one yet. So row 3, column 7 is equal to 7. So row 7, column 7 is equal to 3, which is this one. Yeah, and that one we know puts a 7 here by the logic that we've been learning about all along. So this digit is not 7. 3 comes out of there. I get the 3. I get the 3 in box thingy. I get a 3 in another box. I get a 2 in this box. So just using this 2 in the corner. Look at all these digits now. But I bet you they all relate to each other. Oh, that's a 1. So these are probably all just going to cancel when we do the clicking through. We'll probably find we get some of these, but we might not get everything. I'm not sure. Let's try row 2, column 6 is a 7. So row 6, column 7 is equal to 2. Row 6. Ah, yeah, see that one, Frank's that one. That's annoying. Row 6, column 7 equals 2. So row 7, column 2 is equal to 6. That's a fresh digit. We didn't have that before. So that's a 6. These all become orange. That's giving me these digits. Look, 5, 4, 6, 4, 5. So hopefully we'll get some more digits out of these. So this digit now is row 2, column 5 is 6. So row 5, column 6 is 2. Row 5, column... That's that one. Bother. Okay, that's a message saying I'm meant to have left by now. But I am doing well. I can nearly finish. I'd much rather finish than leave it because I find it so difficult to recover my logic when I finish. Row 5, column 6 is equal to 2. So row 6, column 2 is equal to 5. Row 6, column 2. That's that one, isn't it? So those 3 are all orange now. Whoopsie. So now we could try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We should be able to get at least one more digit, I think, because they're not we aren't left with a 0 mod 3 number of digits. Let's try this one. Row 4. Oh, this is in the cell that we were looking at earlier. So isn't that going to do something there and maybe here? I'm not sure, like, or maybe it's those two. I'm not sure. It's something like that. Row 4, column 3 is equal to 6. So row 3, column 6 is equal to 4. That's a digit. Look at that. And look, look again. We've got this 147 thing going on. That's so strange. And then if row 3, column 6 is equal to 4, row 6, column 4 is equal to 3, row 6, column 4 is equal to 3. That's that one. Right. Row 5, column 1 is equal to 4. Row 5, column 1. So row 1, column 4 is equal to 5. That's another digit. We'll take it. Absolutely, we will. And if row 5, column, if this row 1, column 4 is equal to 5, row 4, column 5 is equal to 1, which is that one. Okay, that's good. What are we left with up here? We can do Sudoku. I'm doing it. I'm not proud. Okay, let's do that digit, I suppose. Row 1, column 5 is equal to 9. So row 5, column 9 is equal to 1. That's those two. Those two are tied together indelibly. And if row 5, column 9 is equal to 1, row 9, column 1 is equal to 5. And we've done that one. Bother. Oh, look, and these are all going to match off, and we're going to be left with some nonsenses to do in the bottom right. Sudoku might have to do it for us. So let's check. Row 3, column 4 is equal to 8. So row 4, column 8 is equal to 3. 8 is equal to 3, and row 8, column 3 is equal to 4. Yeah, those are all tied together. Botheration. Right, okay, so now we need Sudoku to work some sort of absolute magic here. Where should we look? It's actually not... This is a bit worried. We've got to look at these 852 things going on though. So maybe that's another area we could focus on, disproving things that can't be. So I suspect these are 147 and these are 258. And if we could make that assumption, I could finish the puzzle in about 20 seconds. But probably we're going to have to prove it, aren't we? So let's work this out. 4, 5, 7, 8. Now that's not 4 or 8. That's not 5. That's not 7. That's not 5. Now are these resolved somehow? No. No. Okay, but my hunch is that this digit is a 7. So why can't that be a 5? Oh, if it's a 5, it's indexing itself. It's got all the 5s in its thingy. So I'm not going to be able to disprove that because it's not going to tell me anything about the world. Let's try row 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5, 6, 7, 9. This is not 5. This is not 7. This is... that's not 5. But we can't perform these same things on the rows, can we? At least I don't think we can. Is there some sort of restriction on? Because in the rows, I wanted to try and prove that. Yeah, look, 1, 2, 3. They're always in the same position. This is so suspicious. 8. I bet you this is 8, 7. Yeah, 8, 7, 9 would make sense with this being a 174 triple as well. So that would suggest I am expecting this digit to be a 6. So why can't that be a 7? If this is 7, let's just blue it for a moment. If this is 7, row 5, column 4 is a 7. So row 4, column 7 is a 5. Row 4, column 7 is a 5. Well, that doesn't work. That's so strange. So there is something going on under the hub in terms of the disjoint. Because that is not 7, and I bet it can't be 9 either. Let's try that. So if that's 9, then we're saying row 5, column 4 is 9. So row 4, column 9 is 5. And is that affecting the disjoint? No. That's odd, isn't it? And that's saying row 4, column 9 is 5. So row 9, column 5 is 4. Row 9, column 5 is 4. And that isn't That's also not affecting the disjoint, I don't think. So I can't disprove that. That's so peculiar. That is so peculiar. I don't understand that at all. Okay, well, let's try this column then. In 4, 6, 7, 9, and hope 4, 6, 7, 9. That's definitely not 6 or 7, so that's really restricted. That one's not 4. That one's not 9. And oh, please. Ah, well, 7 in this column is down here, so I can take 7 out of this square. That's become 4 or 8. What do I expect this to be by my rule? By my rule, I expect this to be 9. So let's try 4 there and see if we can disprove it. Oh no, that's in the silly position here, isn't it? So that tells us nothing about anything if it goes in there. Oh, maybe there's some rule which says that there have to be an equal number of cells, or 3 of such cells, because yeah, maybe this has to be 4, 5, 6 or something, because otherwise you might not be left with the right number of digits, given that most digits create two other digits, so they sort of go in cycles of 3, don't they? I don't really know where to look here. Where should we try next? Should we try this column? May as well. 5, 6, 8, 9. This is not 6. This is not 5 or 9. This is not 6. This is not 8. Now, have we got some sort of triplage going on in this box? Not that I can see. What do I expect this to be? I expect this to be 5 by my rule. So let's try and rule 9 out from this square. If this was 9, row 4 column 6 is 9, so row 6 column 9 is 4. Row 6 column 9 is 4. That doesn't work again because of the disjoint. So there are all these things that we can pick off to do with the disjoint. Yeah, oh yeah, that's the other thing. I thought these were modular sets, so I think that's going to be 2, 5, 8. But the thing is, if that's 6, it's this silly thing again on the diagonal, which I can't do anything with. Oh look, I have actually got, there's no rule. Oh, I thought for a moment there was a rule that was going to say that we couldn't repeat a digit on the diagonal. If there is such a rule, it's not listed in the instructions I've got, because that would finish these off immediately, because I've not put 7, 8 and 9 on the diagonal. Got it. 5. Oh, it's all the disjoint. 5 can't go in the middle because of the disjoint. So let me guess, this can't be 4 because 4's appeared. Yeah, sorry, you've all shouted at me about that, and you should have done, because I am an inept human being and I deserve it. But look at this. This is great. This is good, because I am going to finish the puzzle probably now. I'm not sure it's going to be right, but I'm going to finish it. Keep going. These are no longer 6. Let's check the disjoint. Oh, I don't know if that worked. Did I? Yeah, look, we are getting these modular triplet things. So it is sort of working. I just don't quite understand what's going on under the bonnet of this. So this is 4, this is 8 now. These squares are 7 and 6. So that's 6, that's 7, that's 9 now, that's 5. This column needs 6 and 9. How late am I going to be? Hugely late. Hugely late. 4 and 7. 4 and 7. And hopefully 5 and 8. What a puzzle this is. I'm just going to see if it's right. Yes. Wow. What? I mean, that's incredible. 20. It hasn't had that many saves given how difficult it is. Now receiving urgent texts. That Michael, that's unbelievable. That is an unbelievable puzzle. I'm quite relieved, frankly, to have solved it. I think if I studied it for longer, I would be able to deduce something at least a little bit clearer about how these numbers relate to one another. Like I spotted there was something, didn't I, regarding this and the difficulty with ones. But I think there's something else like that sitting underneath this puzzle that would probably make it slightly easier to solve. But this is my kryptonite. I mean, and to combine my kryptonite, which is disjoint subsets, with this, I was going to call it nonsense, this unbelievable XYZ, YZX, blah, 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 is, it's very mean, but I have solved it. I did do it logically, and for that, I've no real clue what the Rubik's Cube reference is. This is one of the hardest Rubik's Cubes in Christendom. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.